Sunaina, coming to you, a little bit about your own journey, if you would like to share with us, and also give us a sense of, what you have seen in your career as some of the mental blocks that often tend to hold women back from more actively participating. So we spoke of some constructs outside, but some blocks within ourselves that hold us back.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and lovely to be part of this panel. I co-head fixed income at Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. A little bit about my journey. I think I was very privileged to be born in a family which had great emphasis for me and my sister on education. It was, I think, drilled into our heads very early on by both my mom and dad that we had to be independent, financially and economically independent, as well as as we grew up. And for that, a great emphasis had to be laid on getting the right education. So after completing my MBA at FMS Delhi, I joined the Aditya Birla Group. It's been 18 years, and here I am
Wow.
today. So you were asking about, and I think, the previous speakers also mentioned this. The last 2 years have really brought home how important, discussing finances actually is, particularly in the very unpredictable world that we live in. With this pandemic, we've seen situations where people suddenly have had to, women suddenly have had to take over the reins of managing money. And these women, some of them very highly educated, very very doing very well in their fields, non-financial fields maybe, are absolutely unaware and taken aback, because up till now those conversations have not happened within the family as to what our net worth is, what our investments are, where they are, what do we have health insurance, how much health insurance. So those basic conversations have actually not happened at the family level. And hence, when women suddenly have to go ahead and take over the reins of managing the money in the family, the investment in the family, sometimes we've seen this actually being very difficult, and it comes, of course, at very difficult stages. So having those conversations right up front is extremely important. And I think maybe that starts not only at a later stage. It needs to start right when when you're small and when you're children. So I think one of the previous speakers spoke about managing and looking at the finances for her kids. That's something I've also started with my 7-year-old son. I've started explaining to him and teaching him the basics about investments and managing money, etc. And I'm doing that with my nieces as well. So I think we need to start off very early with those discussions, because they need to progress into conversations that we have at later stages as well. You asked that question about money management, about money, and what are the big myths or the
Mental
big
block.
mental blocks that are there about money. I think money management, the biggest one is that investments are very difficult. It's a big bogey. It's too esoteric. But I can tell you myself, I manage money. It's not rocket science. Money management, investments is not rocket science. And there's a lot of information and a lot of data out there. The first thing we need to do to break that mental barrier and that block is actually to read up a lot. There's a lot of information available on
Correct.
different topics and different aspects. So I think that's one big mental block that is actually out there in terms of what money is all about, and how do you invest and how do you manage money. The second one, and I think women traditionally have managed the household budgets, and they're very good at doing that. They're extremely good at saving. But when it comes
Correct.
to investments, we've seen that money generally tends to lie, in the tijori locked up. So it just increasing our cash in circulation, or it gets invested in more traditional, fixed deposits or gold. And somehow sometimes it finds its way in the informal lending market. And to be frank, you need to be a very astute investor to actually lend and be able to do your due diligence, not in the way that we talk about it in the financial aspect, but actually women are doing that due diligence to try and assess whether if I lend to this friend of mine, will she actually be able to return that money to me, and when we're lending in the informal markets. But I think moving away from just saving and moving to having an investment mindset is also very important. So these are a couple of these these mental blocks that are actually available out there, right?
All right. On to you, Lavanya, your own experience. You head up a large organization, manage money for the organization, like many, many women across domains and sectors do, right? What has been your own journey with managing your own personal finances? And give us a sense from your experience on what were some of the early steps, or what were some of the baby steps that you took, right? And that led up to you becoming more sophisticated in the way you manage your capital, manage your investments, manage your money. Because you have to start somewhere.
Agreed, Saina. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to meet all of you here, and it's a very interesting topic actually for a Saturday afternoon. So about how women can manage money. A little bit about myself. I'm a chartered accountant. Very early in life, I had interest in say the finance aspect. Kind of was
Right.
very clear after 10th that I will not go the science route. I wanted to go the commerce route. So some of that kind of came more out of interest, where I was like, I used to sit with my dad, handle money. My earlier introduction to all that came from the family. So for all girls, it obviously comes first from the family. My dad used to kind of involve me in all the discussions, whatever he used to do, or small investments, what he used to do. So from there, obviously the interest got developed. But what I would say is that I would just answer your question more in terms of what I kind of follow also. One thing what all women should do is actually to have financial goals set for themselves. In terms of most of the women don't have financial goals set. It is very imperative that you set financial goals set for yourself. So it's my, like, if I'm making this kind of income, what should I save, what should I invest, what should I spend? Matlab, finally happiness comes only in spending. So it's about what you kind of do. So having financial goals set is very, very important. And this you should start early in life. Say I want to own a house when I'm 30, like I want to own a car when I'm 25. So whatever, in terms of the financial goals, what you
Whatever
need to have.
floats your boat, right? Whatever makes you happy. If it's an Ivy League degree,
Whatever
it's an
makes you
Ivy
happy.
League
Yes,
degree.
finally linking it back. So if you say you want to have something to invest back to your kids, say I want to contribute to my kids education, I want to do this, so start planning towards that. That's the first thing. Second thing, what I have always done is I have drawn up my own balance sheet, my own net worth. I actually track. So people do investments, but then they never see a consolidated report, like how much have I done in real estate, how much have I done in liquid funds, how much is that what I've taken in form of insurance. So it is good to actually drop your own balance sheet. Being a finance professional, much easier for us to do it, but it is important to really know your net worth and what's the gap you have and how are you going to kind of bridge it. Also kind of helps you to see what kind of investments you can do, what kind of risk you can take. Like, can I do an equity, or should I do a debt? What percentage is something which I should do? Or if it's a long term, can I do it through insurance? So it helps you to take those decision making. And once you get into it, I feel once you get familiarized, it becomes easier for you to do it also. Okay. The third thing what I see is that you have to participate in the decision making. Like, if in the house they come and ask you when they buy gold or when they buy real estate, you are obviously very actively participating. You have to do the same thing when they invest in, say, the financial stocks and all that. You can have a
Got
form, you can give your opinion, right, in terms of what it is. So I feel just doing these things. And also, it's not like men know it all. Okay, they are also learning in the process. If you can participate in the journey, they'll be more than happy to kind of take your view. See, why do people want diversity? We should be kind of offering diversity into this also. This is my thoughts on this.
An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.